we're going to talk about this book, Das Geheimnis der Wolken, The Secrets of Clouds. I've just been told that there is a Spanish translation and the English translation is on its way, and there will be a Russian translation by Vincenzo Levizzani, and who is obviously quite famous. I was astounded because obviously he's got his own town. He lives in Levizzano, obviously named after him. So my name is Klaus Nüchtern. I'm a journalist, and actually I'm a literary critic and not a Scientological journalist. The reason I was assigned with this job, or I was given the pleasure and honor to talk to you, is that I am a member of the Cloud Appreciation Society. You too. What's your number? Do you know? And I have my certificate with me to prove it. I've been a member of the Cloud Appreciation Society. You'll find it on the internet since August 11th of 2008, number 13,220. And this society is against blue sky fascism. So the common opinion that only cloud-free skies are beautiful skies. And it says that I was elected and will henceforth seek to persuade all who listen of the wonder and beauty of clouds. And that's, I guess this is our common goal. Yeah. So you probably know that the founder of this society, Mr. Gavin Partecipazione, my president, our president, has forwarded or found a new cloud, type of cloud, asperitas. And it took him some years to get it officially recognized by the World Meteorological Society. And it's a very dramatic, very good-looking cloud. Could you tell us a bit about asperitas?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I studied German in high school, but then I lost it. I'm sorry. Anyway, so asperitas, yes, this is probably the newest type of cloud which was approved by the World Meteorological Organization in Geneva, which you may not know that it's an organization of the United Nations, so it's very serious actually. Asperitas in reality, it's a modification of pre-existing clouds. It could be altocumulus, stratocumulus, it depends. Anyway, stratified clouds that are normally very flat, with asperitas, they look like, waves, because there are waves in the atmosphere. And if you look at these kind of clouds, it's like that you were under the surface of the sea and look upwards and you see all the surface that has these waves. So these are the mysteries and the beauties of this kind of clouds.
Let's talk about the classification. The basic types of cloud, or the basic system, is over 200 years old. One of the father figures of cloud classification is Luke Howard, who was an English pharmacist at the beginning of the 19th century, and who was very much admired by Goethe, who dedicated some poems to him. Goethe himself was also interested in the cloud, and he was wrong. But the basic categories still exist.
Exactly. It may seem strange that something lasts so long in science, because normally it is falsified or changed, in a few years, I would say. But this actually comes from the original idea of Luke Howard, who, was not a scientist. He was actually
a citizen science.
yeah, it was a citizen science, before we actually invented this kind of word. So he was actually selling chemical products, So anyway, with his wife Maria Bella, he lived in Tottenham in London, and they every day they discovered and described the climate and the meteorology of London. So he said, okay, clouds are always different and they change in a matter of seconds, not minutes. But there are certain types that, come and repeat themselves. So is it possible to describe them? Yes. So now we have 10 types that are overarching types, and then modifications, so on and so forth. But the types are more or less those that Howard, proposed in the beginning. Of course, we changed them in time, but it's like the classification of the famous scientist, the famous Swedish scientist, Linnaeus, right? Linnaeus classified animals, plants, and the geological part of our nature. So that's what Howard did, and that's what we are faced with right now.
Actually, you have probably chosen the worst time in the year to visit Vienna. Because why? First, the Christmas business is on. All those ghastly Advent fairs give away this ghastly saccharine drink called punch in ugly mugs. And then the fog, which is going to last for days and days and days. And if I look at my weather app, it says it's going to be 10 degrees Celsius the whole day. It's almost no wind, dead calm. The air pressure is 1014 HPA, hectopascal, I guess is that's quite normal. What does this tell us? And how long will this go on? Because in the west of Austria, the sun, what is the sun actually doing, that lazy bitch? Okay,
actually, what we are faced with right now in Vienna, it's normal fall, autumn, winter, It's very dull, sometimes depressive, But in reality, those clouds, those are ice clouds that you see above your head, right? When I came on Thursday, there were, 4 degrees Celsius, so it was quite cold. But actually the surface in Vienna was all wet, but it was not raining. How could it happen? Well, it happens because all these clouds are ice clouds, and they are made by very teeny, small crystals, and they precipitate, they fall through the zero level, they melt, and then they produce very small, really small, few microns droplets, very, very teeny droplets. They actually may wet your face, wet the ground, but you don't measure any precipitation. This type of weather can last weeks, I would say. So if no front comes, and overturns the atmosphere, it's going to stay there.
So you are quite acquainted with this. You grew up in the Po Valley, and it's famous for its fog,
Absolutely.
like in the films of Fellini.
Absolutely. Actually, this is not fog, but in the Po Valley, we were used when I was a child. There were those fog banks that you could not see the other side of the street, right? So in the book I wrote that I was coming home from university with a friend of mine. She was driving this small Cinquecento, right? and I was on the passenger seat, and all of a sudden we could see nothing. So the idea was that I opened the door of the car, and we were looking where we were, actually, So, but it's not like this anymore. Temperature have risen. Climate change is already here, if you want. And the type of pollution in the Po Valley has changed a lot. It's not less polluted. It's polluted differently. So actually, fog is less frequent than it was in the past.
Okay. But there are different. Actually, fog is a cloud.
Fog is a stratus cloud.
Yeah.
Stratus cloud, but it actually stays around your nose. Okay, so it's really a fog. Fog is a kind of cloud. Actually, it's not a cloud in itself. It's a stratus.
But you described at least 3 different kinds of fog. What kind do we have here?
No, right now you don't have any fog.
Okay,
Probably in the hills, in the mountains, you may have some.
We call it Hochnebel, high fog.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
what's the correct?
No. Actually, this is advection fog. It's not radiation fog, for instance, which comes by heating of the air masses by the sun. But here, the sun, you cannot see it. It's just above. So yeah.
So your profession is that of a cloud physician, cloud magician. What exactly does one do as an atmosphere scientist? I mean, I guess you are in your profession, you spend more hours and time looking at monitors, looking at the sky.
Well, my father would have never dreamt, in his worst dreams in bed, that I would become a cloud scientist. But probably he wanted me to be a medical doctor or an attorney at law or whatever. But anyway, so what does it mean to be a cloud physicist? It means that you want to investigate the internal structure of clouds. I started with my master, with my mentor in the United States. The mentor was Professor Hans Prupacher. And, he was probably the best known cloud physicist in the world. But anyway, what we did is to recreate clouds in the laboratory, in the wind tunnel. We suspended ice crystals, small droplets, and so on, to see how they behave, how they interact, and how they form a cloud. But then, soon I found out that I wanted to look at the real clouds, because in the laboratory, those are artificial clouds, okay? So, and then I started to use radars and most of it satellites. So more than 25 years I was looking at satellite imagery and satellite sensors to find out the inner structure of clouds.
So what do you think is the most common error about clouds, or the most popular error? It's just water.
Yes. I think you did it. You did it right. People think that clouds are just water. Clouds are mostly ice. Even, for instance, if you look at a summer storm, there is 35 or maybe even 40 degrees at the surface, but those clouds over there are all ice. So the point in having showers, heavy showers, it's having all these ice crystals, they fall and they melt, and then eventually they transform into precipitation, into liquid precipitation. So this is the most common error, absolutely.
Could one say that rain is molten snow?
Yes. Well, let's say that the most correct term is precipitation, because precipitation.
Niederschlag.
Yeah, exactly. It actually includes rain, snow, hail, Graupel, which is a German word, by the way. Graupel are not hailstones. We don't have time, but anyway,
This is one of the interesting things I learned from the book. Hail is no Graupel, also Graupel sind keine Hagelkörner.
Yeah. So actually, most of the precipitation starts from ice. So it's mostly ice aggregates, snowflakes, if you want, okay, that they eventually melt. So at mid-latitude, this is always the same thing. In the tropics, the story is different, in the sense that you can have liquid precipitation to start with, and the clouds can be liquid. So, but only in the tropics.
That is, I find very astonishing that the phenomenon of rain, the mechanics of rain are very different concerning the place where they take place. In the tropics is another procedure, completely another origin of rain than in our latitudes.
Exactly. You're talking about binary classification, if you want, that cloud physicists normally do. In the tropics, we have mostly warm rain, which doesn't mean that actually the precipitation is warm. It means that everything is liquid, so it's not frozen. Precipitation there starts from teeny droplets that do interact with each other, and they grow just by incorporating one into another. So this is collision coalescence. This happens in the tropics. Here, in the mid-latitudes and in the polar latitudes, thing is completely different. We start from ice, and ice crystals do interact with each other, like with the droplets in the tropics, but and they actually hang each other, you know, and they form aggregates, or they form hailstones from. Oh, by the way, did you know that liquid water can exist in clouds, liquid well below 0 degrees?
Minus 38, I think, is the...
Minus 38.5. It was measured in a storm in Argentina. The reason is very simple. It's because actually the hot and humid air gets transported upwards by strong currents, the updrafts, and the transport is so quick that the water cannot freeze, you know. And besides, freezing all the single droplets is not like freezing a bowl of water in the refrigerator. It's something different. So this tells you how weird the clouds are to a certain extent.
Staying in the season, speaking of winter and this whole Christmas business, we have this Christmas decoration of these beautiful snow crystals. And it's supposed to look like this, but that's not true either.
Well, it's true to a certain extent. What we normally look is what we call stellar crystals, dendrites, which means that they have branches, okay? But in reality, the ice crystals are so many, and the shapes and sizes are so many. There were Japanese groups, only the Japanese could do that, I tell you, for their precision, you know. Anyway, they started classifying, several professors that, you know, did that in the past. So if you look at how different they are, it's really astonishing. And it depends on temperature, on pressure, on the water content. So they can be very different from each other. But anyway, the crystal you see in the Christmas cards, it's a single crystal. What falls down from a cloud is much more complicated in the sense that you have aggregates of these crystals. So they have no particular form. Okay.
One last topic is, of course, climate change. Do you have any idea, or could you tell how this affects the form and the types of clouds? Is there any changes in the types? Will there be new clouds? Will there be bigger, larger, whatever?
Okay, this is a very good question, actually. I don't expect that clouds do change in the sense that there will be new types of clouds. The phenomena and the mechanisms are always the same, even with an increasing temperature. The point is another one. The point is that clouds are modifying in the sense that, for instance, let me tell you an example. If you go, actually, if you fly over the ocean, you see that it's mostly covered with cloud decks, very extended cloud decks. They are called marine stratocumulus. These are the sort of blankets for our planet because they actually regulate the temperature. Okay? They don't allow too much infrared radiation coming from the sun to heat up the Earth too much. Unfortunately, with the increasing temperature, these clouds are thinning, and the problem is that more radiation comes and they act also as a greenhouse gas. So this is very worrying. So we are worried about this kind of change, as well as we are worried about extreme situations like the hurricanes that become more and more powerful. So this is what happens.
So one of my last questions would be, do you have a favorite cloud?
Well, actually, for me, all the clouds are, my favorite. Because, the cloud I'm going to look is going to be new for me, not only for you. But anyway, if I have to say that I have a cloud that I'm particularly fond with, it's the lenticular cloud. Lenticular clouds are those that you see on the top of the mountain when hot and humid air, actually goes to the top of the mountain, and then you have condensation on the top, and then you have dissipation on the other side. So this leaves you with a lens of cloud.
Looks like an UFO.
Looks like an UFO most of the time, and there can be several, superimposed decks. This is something amazing every time. If you go to Argentina, go to Patagonia, Torres del Paine, you see the fantastic lenticular clouds there.
So my last personal question, I've never seen a Kelvin-Helmholtz cloud. What should I do to get to see one? Which is a very, very spectacular, very rare cloud, which looks like a regular pattern of breaking waves.
Right. This is very difficult to see. You have to be in the right place at the right time, because those are two atmospheric layers that pass one on top of the other, and they have two different densities. Having two different densities, they create curls. Okay. It seems like it's made by a painter, it's really, really weird. But there is no particular place that you can find. If you are on the top of a mountain and you look downwards, and if the situation, the characteristics of the atmosphere is correct, then you can see it. Seeing it from the ground is much more difficult.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for being there.
Thank you.